In this video, I'll show you how to select the loop view in a variety of ways, as well as how to add info overlays that provide other useful information specific to the selected image. You'll also learn how to zoom and pan around an image and the important relationship between the loop view and the navigator settings. So not surprisingly, there are multiple ways to get to the loop view from the library module. So I'm going to go to the grid view, and down here in the toolbar you can see the grid view icon, and next to it is the loop view icon. I can select that icon, or I can simply hit the E key. Now you would have thought they would have used the L for loop, but in fact L is reserved for lights dim and lights out. So another way to get to the loop view, I'm going to go back to the grid view, is to double click on a thumbnail, and that brings you to the loop view. Back to the grid view by hitting the G key. I can also select the loop view by selecting the space bar, and that brings me right to the loop view. If you prefer menu bar commands, View Loop will take you to the loop view. You can navigate between adjacent images in the loop view by using the right arrow key or the left arrow key, or selecting another image from the film strip, like I'm doing now. Now let's get to the important relationship between the loop view and the navigator. So right now I have the navigator set to fit, and if I set it to fill, you can see the difference. Fit and fill, only a slight difference when it's a horizontal image, but let me select a vertical image and go from fill to fit. You can see why I generally keep this to fit, because I don't want to lose a lot of my vertical images in the fill view. Okay, so this setting here, fit or fill, is going to determine where the loop view begins. Let me show you what I mean. So I'll go back to the grid view, and I'll hit the space bar, and you can see it starts here at fit. Now if I had selected fill, let me go back to the grid view, and now hit the space bar, it's going to start at fill. So I'm going to keep this at fit. Now fit or fill are both good ways to get an overview of your image. However, to really check for sharpness, you need to at least go to 1:1. So I'm going to select the 1:1 view here in the navigator, and you'll see I'm in the 1:1 view. I can navigate around the image by clicking and dragging within the preview area, or I can come over to the navigator box itself and then just move this bounding box around to the position that I want. So what happens here? When I have set this to 1:1, I'm going back to the grid view, and I'm going to hit the spacebar once. And that's going to bring me to my fit view, as you can see up here in the navigator. And next, I'm going to hit my spacebar again. Watch what happens. This is really, really cool. It goes right to 1:1. And if I hit the spacebar again, it goes back down to fit. So this is a great way to quickly check for sharpness or motion blur. Now, what if you want something higher than 1:1? Over here to the right, you have other ratios to choose from. I'll choose 2:1 now. Let me go back down to fit by selecting the spacebar, and I'll hit the spacebar again. Now watch, it's going to jump right over the 1:1 and go to 2:1. And I'll have to navigate around clicking and dragging to view various parts of the image. I find 1:1 actually to be more useful for purposes of checking sharpness and motion blur. If you want to zoom in and out without going over to the navigator, you can use Command Control plus or Command or Control minus. So you can have in the loop view information displayed over your image, and that information determines how you set your settings here under View Options. So I'm going to select Loop View. Now I like having both Loop View Info 1 and 2 available, so I'm going to keep this deselected. Under Loop Info 1, this is the first loop information that will come up. By default, it'll show the file name and copy name. You can change it to whatever you want. Capture date and time, once again, you can change it to what you want. And crop dimensions. I'm just going to keep it at the default for now. If I select Show Briefly When Photo Changes, it'll only pop up for a few seconds and then disappear when I switch between photos in the loop view. Now under loop information 2, we have the file name and copy name, exposure and ISO, and lens settings. Now I actually find this to be fairly useful to have the exposure and ISO showing up. It's information that always appears over here to the right under the histogram, but it's nice to have it up on top of the image as well. So I'm going to go ahead and just keep all the default settings here for the loop view, but you can see you can customize it to your own preference. Now when I close that, and if I hit the I key, you can see I have that first set of information appearing, and when I hit the I key again, now I get the second bit of information, and if I hit the I key, it goes away. This is the behavior I prefer rather than to have it pop up and then disappear as I move between images. I want to be able to control when that information comes up. Now you can also, under View, set a loop overlay of guides or grid. So let me go ahead and select grid. And there's a grid that appears. Now if you want to control how that grid appears, you hold down the Command or Control key and you can change the size of the grid and the opacity of the grid. So let me go ahead and turn off the grid. And I want to show you one more thing that you can do. This is all new to Lightroom 5. So let me go ahead and show you what you can do now with guides. You can actually set guides. And if you hold down the Command or Control key, and you can move these guides around, position them just the way you want them. This is new to Lightroom 5. And if I want to remove these guides, there's Command or Control, Option, Alt, O, and that will remove them. So I've demonstrated the loop view in the library module, but the loop view is also found in the develop module. And these same features that I've shown you in the library module, for the most part, will apply to the loop view in the develop module as well. Get to know the loop view. You're going to be using it a lot.